Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Adewale podcast. My name is Adewale Adejumo. Today, I have a very special guest. She was a Miss South Africa princess in 2015. And she's also the author of the book, My Hall of Mentors. And she's the founder of MentHer, a global mentorship network supporting female entrepreneurs, female social entrepreneurs. And she serves as a non-executive director for Pamanda Properties and Ekasi Entrepreneurs, and as a mentor for Pagama Women's Academy, Business and Arts South Africa and South Academy. She's a lot of things. Guys, I'd like to welcome Ntsiki Mkhize to the Adewale podcast. Welcome, Ntsiki.
Hi, Adewale, and to all the guests that will be watching this. Thanks so much for having me on your podcast.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for agreeing to come onto the Adewale podcast. So,
my pleasure.
Today we're going to be talking about mentors, about the power of mentors, because you are someone that has accomplished quite a lot in your young life. I mean, it's not a secret that you are 30 years old because you posted that all over social media.
Yes, my social media community knows.
Exactly. And before the age of 30, you've published a book, you've done Miss South Africa, you've started businesses, magazines. And for someone to have achieved so much, I first had to just study you and be like, okay, what is it with this lady? How has she done so much? And then it clicked because, you did write a book called My Hall of Mentors, that the reason why you were able to accelerate your career was because you had mentors. Okay. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And the first question I've got for you is, how did you meet your mentors?
So all my mentors are a different story, right? And I write in my book, My Hall of Mentors, about how I met each of my mentors. So it's not just the lesson that I learned, but how I met each mentor. And that was very important to me because I started writing the book the year that I was Miss South Africa's second princess. And I think a lot of people assume that because of my title or being affiliated to Miss South Africa, that's how I met my mentors. And I think of all my mentors, only 2 of them came through Miss South Africa. The rest of my mentors were people I knew outside of. So one of my university lecturers is one of my mentors. And there's a lady who, like one of the first nonprofits I volunteered for, she became one of my mentors. My parents are listed in there, as well as my grandmother, as mentors. The first formal corporate job I ever had, the longest one I ever had, and I think the only one I've ever had. The CEO of that company is one of my mentors. And the first social enterprise that I worked for, like when I decided to go, this is a space I want to be in and I want to be around impact and creating impactful businesses. The first social enterprise that I worked for, the CEO and founder of that company was also one of my mentors. So I think everywhere in your life, there's different circles that you're in, the different projects that you work on, the people in your community, the places where you fellowship, the places where you volunteer, the places where you just do life. There's people in each of those circles that present opportunities for learning, whether it is just observing them from a distance or being in a one-on-one official mentorship kind of relationship.
How did you officialize your relationship as a mentor? Because I'm asking this because I often get inboxes where people just inbox me and tell me my name is John Wayne, for example, and I'm doing this and I really find the stuff that you're doing quite inspiring and I would like you to be my mentor. And that gives me a little bit of anxiety sometimes when I get that, because I'm doing a lot already. And to take on someone as a mentee, that's not something that I am really looking to do. And I figured that if I'm feeling that way, quite a few other people are feeling that way. How do you go about asking someone to be your mentor?
Cool. So when I think about mentorship, there's different ways that for me that mentorship can happen, right? So I've had mentorship engagements or experiences that have been with really incredible people, executives, CEOs, whatever, who just was like a coffee or it was like lunch for 3 hours. And it was just a 3-hour download, everything I needed to know, start and end of conversation, done, right? And those are forms of mentorship that exist. Then there's people that you are observing from a distance. So if you're working in a particular workplace, especially if you have access to the person running the business, the people who are within the core leadership team or whatever it is, and you're able to just watch those people and observe them do what they do, that's a form of mentorship, obviously with the opportunity to ask them questions and get feedback on certain things to clarify. Then there's the formal engagement of like, hey, Adewale, could you please be my mentor? And I have a combination of those, right? And for the ones who I've gone to and said, hey, could you formally be my mentor? I sent an email, and there's one or two that I asked in person, like very shyly at an event. I was like, hi, I might never see you again. And so I'm just going to take this opportunity. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is where I want to go. I think you can help me. Could you be my mentor? And I was very surprised. They were like, yeah, sure. Here's my business card. Send an email to my PA and we'll figure something out, right? And I think the asking requires clarity, right? And so, and I think I write about this in the book as well, that if you are looking for a mentor, you need to be clear about your ask and why you're asking that particular person. So do your desktop research. If you are not sure where to start, search LinkedIn, search across your industry, who are the top people doing whatever. And there's articles on that, people making moves, people to watch, impactful people, people growing. Search those phrases and the people will pop up. And then, find them on Instagram, find out about their profile, and then make a list of like 3 things that you admire about that person that you think are helpful for you on your journey. And then you link that to your journey. So you can say, hey, Adewale, I know you run this podcast. I know you wrote a book. And I know you're doing X, and I think those things are great. And I'm also trying to like publish my first book and to build a podcast based on my book. And so I think you could help me in getting there. So if you create that link in your email, it helps people kind of go like, okay, you've done your research, you're clear about what you need, and you've created a starting place. And then I'll definitely say, when you send your email, don't say, will you be my mentor? Because that's a yes or no question. And if it's a no, then end of conversation. So say something like, make it an open-ended phrase, right? So it's like, Adewale, I'd really appreciate it if you had the time to be my mentor, but if you think somebody else could be more applicable, please recommend me or refer me to that person. Or I'd like to explore you being my mentor. Do you have time so I could like pick your brain on these 3 questions, and then we can see if you can become my mentor? Do you know what I mean? So you're opening a conversation that allows for engagement. And if the person is keen, then you can always go into a mentorship relationship. And if not, you at least have a 30-minute conversation over Zoom or whatever it is. But the point is, you don't get just a no,
That's actually really good advice. And I think that also helps someone like myself as well, when someone asks, can you be my mentor, to maybe think about possible mentors. And that brings me to my next question, right? Because you've got the MentHer magazine. I mean, the name is in. I mean, what the magazine does is probably in the name, MentHer. Okay.
Yes. I think I need to get a recording of saying that so I can just like put that on our social media. I'm like, guys, this is the pronunciation and this is the energy that goes with it.
Yeah, exactly. I would first like to know how your readers, people who read this magazine, because I have told some people in the past week that I'm going to be talking to Ntsiki Mkhize, and she wrote a book on all of mentors. She knows all about mentorship, and that's what her purpose and stuff is about. And she has this magazine called MentHer, and I recommend that someone actually go and check it out. But I'd like to know how are readers going to benefit from actually reading this magazine, and what is the purpose of the MentHer magazine for people?
Cool. So MentHer magazine was actually started as an extension of our business. So our business itself is focused on supporting female social entrepreneurs through mentorship. And because social entrepreneurship, especially in South Africa, is something that a lot of people don't know about. And a lot of people, even though they do impact work, they don't necessarily self-identify as social entrepreneurs. So a lot of the groundwork we had to do before we could actually provide the mentorship support was educate people around social entrepreneurship. So we wanted to have a tool that does that, which is the magazine. So in addition to just educating people about what social entrepreneurship is and bringing awareness to social entrepreneurship and sharing inspiring stories of people who are running really good impact businesses, is then to say, our readers who are social entrepreneurs as well. And by social entrepreneur, I mean you run a business, a for-profit, whose intention has some kind of good in it, or you run a nonprofit that does good, or you're registered as a hybrid social enterprise, but your business inevitably is trying to do good, even as a cooperative, and then also people who are working in corporate but would like to find ways that they could add more value to society and to communities. That is our base of readers. And we're just thinking about those readers and going, what kind of support do you need? Like when you are in the middle of nowhere by yourself on this island of social entrepreneurship, trying to make a difference and nobody else gets what you're doing. I mean, it's bad enough that people look at entrepreneurs and go, why would you do that? And now here you are as an entrepreneur trying to have social impact and people are like, really, no. Why would you do that, right? It's like, how can we support those kinds of people? And so we wanted to create a tool that inspires, that creates connection, but also empowers through the content that we share. And so we hope that our readers, as entrepreneurs, as aspiring entrepreneurs, will engage with the MentHer magazine and walk away inspired from the stories that they read by other people, but also informed from a perspective of across all our columns. We have a column on leadership, we've got a column on finance, on business, on personal wellness and resilience. Those are all pockets that say, as an entrepreneur, you're multifaceted and there's lots of different areas around yourself and your business. And we didn't want to just talk to you as a business and say, okay, think about this for your business, but also you as a person, being mindful of the resources and how you need to take care of yourself in order to show up as your best self so your business can win.
So let me understand this. Is the target audience more the people who are in position to be able to actually give, and for them to understand how it is that they are able to actually give, because fulfillment does come from giving, not from getting. So is magazine targeted more towards entrepreneurs that looking to actually maybe mentor people or and contribute to others? Or is it more for mentees looking for mentors?
So it's mostly for mentees. So if you're an entrepreneur and you are starting your business or you're in the early stages of development and growth within your business, the magazine is for you. And it is, bringing together a group of expertise who contribute to the different columns. And even if you can't sit down with them one-on-one, you will hopefully read the column and walk away with the support and advice and guidance that you need on the stage of business that you're at or where you are as an individual.
Oh, okay. Is this just for females or can also mentee also can?
Mentee, right? But we definitely, we did the thing that we get advice to do to niche your business and to focus. So our business niche and focus is female social entrepreneurs, but the content covers everything. I mean, it crosses over, right? So there's nothing to say that a man can't read our magazine and walk away with something valuable. They definitely can, so from I'll take our wealth column, for example. Financial tips are financial tips, whether you are a guy or a lady or gender neutral, financial tips are financial tips. So while we focus on women and that's, for us, that's an important angle, right? Because the voice we then use is to say, when we put together content, we will think about the unique set of circumstances a woman might find herself in, so if we're giving business advice, it's not just general, but it's also considering if you are a single mom or if you're a woman setting up a business, what are the things that you normally don't hear in other business settings that are really a big part of your journey that should be spoken about? And then hopefully men can read and walk away with a sense of sensitivity and understanding as well.
I love that. Where do you think you would be right now if you didn't have mentors?
Sure. I mean, probably on the journey, maybe a couple of steps behind. I definitely think having mentors has sort of accelerated the path that I'm on, as you said in your introduction. I think I've always been someone who was clear about what I wanted to do and what I wanted to do and where I wanted to be, but I haven't always been clear about the how. And so my mentors have helped to clarify the how and to help me kind of like forge that particular path. So I think I'd still be on the same track. I think I might just be maybe 3 years behind.
Were there certain things that you had to change about yourself in order for you to be where you are now? Or did you feel like you've just always kind of sort of like been on this path to be like you were blessed to have your parents and the people and your teachers impact all the knowledge that you needed for you to be who you were to become who you are now? Or did you feel like your mentors actually changed a couple of things about you or they inspired some change in you?
Definitely 100% the blessing aspect of it. And I think I think my position on this is I don't think your mentors should change you, all right? I think mentors should challenge you. They should bring out the best in you. They should highlight your weaknesses and your flaws, so places where you could, blind spots that need your attention, right? But fundamentally, mentors should not change the person that you are, unless, of course, you are a person that doesn't have good intentions, and then you have a mentor who does, and then you have a new perspective on life. Then I think that's helpful. But I think, so for me on my journey, one of the big things, one of the big value adds that I've had from my mentors as well is a highlight around EQ. And understanding your different personality types. So I do training and coaching for entrepreneurs as well. And I really like using tools like the Enneagram. And I think it's really important to understand yourself as an individual and understand your personality and your natural wiring and the things that you're naturally good at doing and the things that you naturally suck at doing. And one of my mentors, who is a business coach, was one of the first people to point this out to me, right? And he was like, you're naturally very creative. You're naturally a very good connector, right? You don't need to spend time working on the skills of connecting because you naturally know how to do that, right? So that's where you maximize in your business. But as an entrepreneur, you're not as good at admin. So he was like, take some time and create structures to help you get your admin done, because that's going to be your downfall until you have somebody else who can help you. So I think those kinds of things are helpful, that, mentors should definitely let you know what your blind spots are. And even if it's a personality blind spot, so if the mentor happens to highlight the fact that, and I don't know what the English translation for this is, like you get hurt easily, like you're sensitive, right? And that's important, because if you're going into business, somebody needs to let you know to not take things personally, right? And if you are a tempered person and you don't know this about yourself, it's important for your mentor to say, hey, you've got a bit of a temper, it's not going to work well for you. This is how you can control it. I think those kinds of conversations are necessary, and important if a person knows that this part of your personality or your character might make it difficult for you when engaging with certain people at a certain level. But fundamentally, it shouldn't be a person changing who you naturally are.
Okay, let me just rephrase that question, right? How did your mentors help you succeed?
So my mentors, I would say, have helped me succeed mostly in the part of clarity, right? I like to think of mentors as people who kind of have a helicopter view. And when you are kind of in the thick of the bushes, they can look over everything and go, okay, you need to turn left, or you need to turn right, or you're at a crossroads. These are your options. If you do 1, 2, 3, this could potentially happen, or that could potentially happen. And I think for me, that's very important, because when I am in the thick of something, sometimes it's very difficult to see what happens next. So for me, it's been having the right kind of people who understand the end goal and who understand my meta intention and my heart's intention and my purpose, and helping me to then connect the dots. And I think that is something that I've needed the most. And so that's been most helpful for me.
I love that clarity. Clarity, that's it. I think that's what a lot of people are looking for right now. Clarity, because they're so confused.
Yeah.
They're not sure which way to go. They read different books, but the books don't often make sense to them, because maybe they're not in the stage where they can actually fully grasp what has been written. And that's just one thing that people just get from mentors: clarity. I love that.
Yeah. And I think, so just to add on to that, I think it's clarity, but also especially if you're a person who has a lot of ideas or a lot of things you want to do, you need someone that can go, let go. those 5 things, they're great, let go. It's not the time to do those right now, or it's not going to benefit you to put all your energy towards those particular things. So I think even in part of clarity is also saying, being clear of not just what you're doing, but the things that you need to let go of, because they're not serving you, or they're not things that you could actually execute on right now. And that could be because the market isn't ready, or because the resources they would require are not things that are currently accessible. And therefore, you'd waste more time trying to do that now versus pursuing something more viable, something else that's more viable.
I love that. And how are you paying it forward by mentoring others?
Yes, so I definitely pay it forward by mentoring other people. And I think, and I like when you said this earlier on around people asking you around mentorship and the limitations around time, right? So I think because I've had the wonderful opportunity of having a number of different mentors, and I think that coupled with what I do as a professional speaker and a facilitator is that I understand that certain lessons don't require like a long period of time to transfer to the next person, right? Like an hour conversation could be very valuable for somebody who does not understand or know what you know, right? And the beauty of experience is that you're able to take things that you've learned over a period of 10 years and distill them to just what's necessary, important, and critical and most valuable, and share that in 30 minutes with somebody who's in matric and who's like, Adewale, I'm trying to figure out what to do next. What should I do, right? So it's very easy for you, if you've been through university, if a first year comes to you and asks you for advice, that you can quickly tell them everything they need to know in 30 minutes, and that's the download. So I find that taking the time to think about how you can pay it forward, and it's not necessarily to say that you have to take on mentees over a full year or whatever it is, but even if it's just conversations with young people from time to time, even with older people, right? So mentorship is not just vertical, but it's horizontal as well. Just taking that time to pay it forward. So I've paid it forward through mentorship programs that I've been invited to be part of. And then because of COVID and lockdown and everything, I haven't been part of any programs in the past almost 2 years because nothing has been running. And just before that, I'd left to go do my master's. So I wasn't available for anything. And so this year I've launched a tribe of 12, and I've taken on 12 ladies who are part of this mentorship community. And we're doing 12 ladies, 12 months, and getting them from where they are now to where they want to be. And so for the next year, I'm literally just taking everything that I've learned and helping them apply it to their own context. And I'm excited about paying it forward in that way as well.
Yeah, man, that is really amazing. That's really amazing stuff too. Yeah, 12 months. When did you start this?
Um, I started it, is it, where are we now? July, May, June. So the anniversary of my book launch was in May. So to celebrate the second year anniversary, I then decided to celebrate it with taking on 12 ladies to mentor for the next 12 months. So it'll be May, June till next year, May, June.
In book, where can listeners find your book if they want to purchase it?
So if you are outside of South Africa, you can find the book on Amazon. And then if you're in South Africa, you can send an email to orders@Ntsiki, M for milk.co.za, or actually M from Mkhize, because that's what it stands for. And then we will get a book couriered to you.
Fantastic. And guys, if you guys want to connect with Ntsiki a little bit more after this podcast, you can find her on all social media platforms. Her name is Ntsiki Mkhize. She's on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and even on Twitter. And you can also get more information about her on the website, which is ntikimkhize.co.za. Am I correct?
Yes, I think it's ntsikim@.co.za.
ntikim.co.za.
Yeah.
Okay. Two final questions, Ntsiki, and these are questions that I just started asking 2 weeks ago
Okay.
to my guest, because it is called the I Feel Like Be Like podcast.
Okay.
Are you happy?
That's such a good question. Yes, I am happy. But in my response to that question, I would like to differentiate between happiness and joy. So I think I'm naturally like a happy, bubbly person. And I like to think of joy as a constant disposition, right? So every day there's like joyfulness within self. And I consider happiness to be more like momentary. Like if I get ice cream right now, I'll be happy. But before I had the ice cream, I was still joyful, you know? So I think life for me is like that continuation between joy and then adding happiness in some moments, and then, but constantly staying in a space of joy.
And if you have a message for the world, what would it be?
My message for the world. To show up and be deliberate about creating a different world. No one's coming to save us. There's no like extraterrestrial mission group that's coming to save planet Earth, right? Like it's up to us. And so I think when we look at, I mean, especially what's happening in South Africa at the moment, I think when you look at your world being your community, your village, the country you live in, never underestimate the ability and the power that you have to drive positive impact, and start doing that today, especially for young people. We are going to inherit the mess that's currently happening. So there's no like, oh, only when I'm 50, I'll get involved in X. Like now is the time to get it done. So let's get it done.